Presenting
The Complete
Orson Welles
and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London.
as the third man.
Stand by.
We'll be on the air in 15 seconds, Mr. Wells. Yes, I know.
Stand by, everybody.
Mercury Theater on the Air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel,
Who knows
Dracula.
what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Hello world, welcome to The Complete Orson Welles, brought to you by Dwayne Old Time Radio. This podcast will feature various classic radio programs ranging mostly from 1936 to 1952 that Orson either produced and directed, was featured on, or starred as a guest. If you enjoy my podcast, you can subscribe to receive notifications of new posts. Subscribing is free and only takes a moment. New episodes are posted weekly. If inclined, please leave a rating and or review on your preferred podcast service. Thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed the genius of Mr. Welles. This week of Orson Welles, we're going to listen to The Adventures of Harry Lime. 2 episodes of Harry Lime this week. The first is the 6th episode, Bohemian Star, which aired September 7th, 1951. And then we're going to listen to Love Affair, the 7th episode of the series, which aired September 14th, 1951.
Presenting Orson Welles as the third man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character, originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
That was the shot that killed Harry Lime. He died in a sewer beneath Vienna. As those of you know who saw the movie The Third Man, yes, that was the end of Harry Lime. But it was not the beginning. No. He had many lives. And I can tell you about all of them. How? Because my name is Harry Lime. A diamond as big as a hen's egg. Change that to a duck's egg. And I held it right here in my hand. Not that I had any idea of keeping it, you understand. I was merely recovering it to return it to its rightful owner. Do I hear hollow laughter? All right. You don't have to take my word for it. Ask Scotland Yard. Get them to show you the files. What do you think I am? A crook?
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the third man in The Bohemian Star.
London, 1938. One of those quaint old English pubs, you know, with cubicles around the walls. Seated together, a boy and a girl. Not hard to look at either, the girl. Peaches and cream, that wonderful English type. In the next cubicle, a handsome, distinguished-looking American, Harry Lime. Me. Not eavesdropping, of course, just interested. In a casual sort of way.
You mean to say you have to work?
Yeah.
But you promised to take me to the picture.
I'm sorry, dear. I didn't know this was going to turn up.
Look, Terry, if it's just that you're broke as usual and can't afford a cinema, let's walk in Hyde Park or feed the pigeons in Trafalgar Square or something. There's no need to spoil our evening altogether.
No, it's not that, Pat. Honestly, I have got a job. The news editor wished it on me just as I was leaving.
What do you have to do?
It's an interview. Some South American Johnny called Senor Alvarez. I've got an appointment with him at the Hotel Splendid at 8:30.
What is it you have to see him about?
Well, ever heard of Bockanovia?
One of those little Balkan states.
That's right. Well, 3 years ago, there was a revolution, and the monarchy was deposed, and what's ironically known as a People's Republic took its place. On the last plane out, some of the royal family escaped to London with the crown jewels, and they've been here in the safe deposit ever since.
What, the royal family?
Oh, fathead, no, the jewels. Incidentally, the pièce de résistance, as they say, is the Bohemian Star.
Oh, I thought that was an opera.
Look, the Bohemian Star is the centerpiece of the scepter, a huge single diamond almost as big as the Cullinan.
Makes my engagement ring look a bit silly, doesn't it? I always had a suspicion you were getting me on the cheap.
Well, I like cheap. Why, that cost me a week's salary at Hatton Garden.
Well, you better demand an increase at once, darling. Anyway, what does Senor What's-His-Name fit into all this?
Senor Alvarez is a leading jeweler of Buenos Aires. It seems the National Museum of the Argentine wants a replica of the Boccanovian crown jewels for an exhibition of some sort. And so the Senor's been sent to take photographs, sketches, measurements and so on. When he gets home, he'll reproduce the whole collection in paste.
Well, it sounds awfully dull to me. And for that, I have to miss Don Amici.
Well, who cares about him? I have to miss Betty Grable.
There's no justice in the world. Can't you get out of it somehow?
No, I'm sorry, darling. Not a chance.
I've always had an interest in jewels, purely academic, of course, particularly diamonds, particularly big diamonds. My night was free. I was feeling in a benevolent mood, so I did what anyone might have done. Excuse me. I hope you'll forgive my rudeness, but I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. I thought maybe I could help you out if you'd let me.
Oh?
Perhaps I'd better introduce myself first. My name's Paul Atkinson.
Paul Atkinson? Not the Paul Atkinson of American Associated Press.
Well, I do an occasional stint for the AAP.
Oh, gosh, I read your articles every week. I'm Terry Freeman of the Clarion.
Glad to know you, Terry.
This is my fiancée, Miss Pat Weston.
Hello, Pat.
How do you do?
Look, won't you sit down?
Oh, thanks. This interview you have to do is sort of spoiling your evening together. I understand.
Oh, just one of those things, you know.
There's nothing we can do about it, I'm afraid.
When do you have to turn your copy in?
10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
10? I'll do better than that. I'll deliver it personally to you at 9 on the dot. Guaranteed.
Oh, I don't follow.
Well, you two kids go off to your movie. I'll interview this guy, Alvarez, and write your story for you.
Yes, but...
Why should you do a thing like that?
Well, why not? I haven't any girlfriends to take out. Pretty poor newspaper man who won't help a colleague when the chance turns up.
Oh, it's kind of you, but I couldn't dream of imposing on you like that, Mr. Atkinson.
Well, for the record, my friends call me Paul.
Oh.
I assure you it's no imposition. Of course, if you're scared, I won't turn in a story up to standard.
Oh, gosh, look, it's not that. Why, you couldn't write a bad story if you tried, but look, what would my editor say if he found out?
Who's going to tell him? You, or me, or Pat here? Of course, there's another way out.
Oh, what's that?
You go off to your interview, and I'll take Pat to the movies.
Thanks. I wouldn't trust even a newspaper man as far as that.
Okay, then. The Splendid, then. 8:30?
Yes? Look, all the
forget
same,
it, Terry, old man. I'm not doing you a good turn. You're doing one for me. On the dot of 8:30, I pressed the bell to Suite C, 3rd floor, Hotel Splendid. I hadn't figured out any plan of campaign, you understand. This was just a sort of preliminary survey. Smooth South American type introduced himself as Alvarez and invited me in. We drank each other's health, and then we settled down to business.
I am not very accustomed to be interviewed, Senor Freeman. What is the procedure?
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. I ask the questions, and you answer them.
I will do my best.
Well, now, your job is to work out the precise measurements, as I understand it, of the jewels and their settings, so you can make exact replicas for the museum. Is that right?
Partly. But you understand it is much more than a matter of mere measurement.
Oh, yes, I guess it must be.
There is the color of the various jewels, for
yes.
instance, and some of the settings are of extremely intricate filigree.
Tell me, senor, how did you fix it to gain access to the jewels?
It was necessary for me to make formal application to the Bohemian Royal Court in Excise.
And you found them cooperative?
Well, naturally, one does not expect these favors for nothing.
Oh, yes.
There will be a certain, how shall I put it, financial adjustment.
Yes, I see. Well, how long do you figure the job will take you?
I hope to complete it in a month.
How long have you been on it now?
Just a week.
What's the routine?
The routine?
Well, I dare say there's an armed guard and so on.
Oh, but of course, that is inevitable. The Bohemian Star alone is worth £500,000.
Yes, that's $2 million. Who provides this guard?
The insurance company. There is a room at the safe deposit, and each morning the item I require is taken in there, and I work on it.
Under observation?
Yes. There are 2 detectives who never take their eyes off me or my secretary.
So you have a secretary, too?
Yes, Manuel on inside. He should be here soon, so perhaps you will meet him.
That's fine. Now, tell me, senor, could it be arranged for me to come along one day and watch you actually at work?
I cannot say as to that.
That'll make a much better story, you know.
Perhaps so. But it would be a matter for the Bockanovia authorities.
Okay. I'll put in an application tomorrow. Will you support it?
Naturally.
Fine, that's settled then. And now I guess...
that must be my secretary now. I am in here, Manuel.
Good, everything is fixed, Pedro. That very obliging gentleman, Senor Meyerson, has finished the paste copy of the Bohemian Star, and I have it with me now. Regardless, my friend, it is not perfect.
Manuel.
Tomorrow, when the right moment comes, I will distract the attention of the detectives, and you will remove the real jewel and slip this one in its place.
Manuel, we have company.
You fool, to talk like that. But how was I to know? Who is this man? One of Meyerson's?
This is a gentleman named Freeman, a reporter from the Evening Clarion.
A reporter?
Well, thanks very much for the interview, senor. Now, if you don't mind, I think
What is your hurry?
Well, I have to go on back to the office.
You can wait a little while. Let me pour you a drink.
Oh, no, thanks very much, Roman.
I think
Sorry, I can't stay.
I think you'd better, senor. This gun is loaded.
Well, what's the big idea?
You do not think we could let you go after what you've heard, eh?
Well, now, wait a minute. I'm not the sort of guy who goes around shooting off his mouth. I can keep quiet.
It is my intention to see you do keep quiet.
Oh, it is?
There are ways.
Well, how?
Such as we could kill you.
Yes. I suppose you could, but you won't.
What makes you so sure?
Well, these walls aren't very soundproof. The shot would be heard.
I have a knife.
Okay, you could kill me with your little knife. Then what?
How do you mean?
Having an odd body lying about the place might prove to be a little embarrassing, don't you think? You could never conceal one in here. You couldn't risk getting it out without being caught.
There would be certain difficulties, I
So
admit.
it looks as though you'll have to trust me after all. Doesn't it? Good night, gentlemen.
One moment, senor. There are other ways.
Oh? What, for instance?
Well, this.
What?
Oh, Manuel, I have told you before, I detest violence.
That should keep him quiet for a little while. You know, I've been thinking, why should a reporter on an English newspaper be an American?
I dare say it does happen.
Yes, perhaps so, but you must admit it is unusual.
What are you looking for in his pockets?
Papers. A letter. There, what did I tell you? It is addressed to Harry Lime.
Harry Lime?
What, you know the
But
name?
of course. So does every police department in the world.
You mean?
I mean that compared with him, we are amateurs.
So that's it,
We
eh?
must do something, Manuel.
I know. I will drive the car to the back entrance, and we will take him down the back stairs.
Like he is now?
Why not?
We will be seen.
We will say he's drunk. Then we'll drive him into the country and dispose of him. As he himself would say, take him for a ride.
Don't be foolish. There will be no killing.
But surely...
We are jewel thieves, not murderers. A man like Lime would have powerful friends who would stop at nothing to get even with us. Besides, this is England.
What is that to do with it?
There is an institution here known as Scotland Yard. Extremely efficient, I'd understand. I have no wish to die with a rope round my neck, even if you have.
Very well. You make a better suggestion.
All right. We steal the Bohemian Star tomorrow, right?
Right.
Tomorrow evening we catch a plane, and next morning we are in New York, where we have many good friends who will look after us, right?
Right.
And then it is quite simple. All we have to do is to keep our friends here quiet for a day and a half. And after that, it will not matter how much he talks.
Yes, and how are we going to do that?
That is up to Senor Meyerson. He must find us a quiet place somewhere and a reliable man to see that Senor Lime does not escape till we are clear. I will telephone him now.
Aha. You are waking up, senor. Eh? We are going to take a little journey soon, but I do not think it wise you should appear in public like this. Do you? That's better. Pleasant dreams, senor.
Orson Welles returns in just a moment as the third man. And now, Orson Welles, as the third man, continues with The Bohemian Star.
It was early morning when I finally came to. My jaw ached where Horitza had clipped me, and I had the great granddaddy of a hangover. Ooh. I lay still for a while, and then took a sort of tentative look around. The room I was in was small, had a sort of shut-in feeling. Then I saw something else. A man. One of the biggest, toughest, ugliest characters I'd ever clapped eyes on. Though, in a way, he looked sort of nice ugly, if you know what I mean. Not the mean type. He stood up when he realized I was awake, and as soon as he spoke, I knew I was right about it.
What's it, chum? Have a good sleep?
Well, you ought to know.
Been slumbering like an innocent babe, you have. Here, how'd you feel?
Well, like something the cat dragged in. There wouldn't be any coffee on that stove, would there?
No. But I can fix you up with a nice cup of tea. The kettle will be boiling in a minute.
Oh, that's fine. Say, what's your name?
Charlie.
Mine's Harry.
Pleased to meet you, Harry, I'm sure.
Charlie, old man, where are we?
That'd be telling.
How'd I get here?
Sorry, chum. I ain't allowed to give no information. Strict instructions.
Understand. How's that tea coming along?
Won't be off a tick now.
I slept again afterwards. It was going on for midday when I woke. Charlie had some food ready. After we'd eaten, he suggested a game of cribbage to pass the time. I disapprove of gambling, except maybe poker for real stakes with a few aces up my sleeve. But my only hope was to cultivate Charlie. And thank goodness he was no hothouse flower, so we settled down to play. After about an hour, I judged the time for action was right.
15-2, 15-4, a pair 6, and one for his knob 7. Puts me out. That's a sprat you owe me.
A sprat?
Yeah, a tanner. 6pence.
Oh, well, here you are.
So, your deal.
Oh, sure. Look what I've done. Spilled them all over the floor.
That's all right, chum. I'll pick them up.
Thank you, Charlie.
Oh,
Thank you. One more for luck. Sorry, Charlie, old man. You're a nice guy. I tore up a sheet and bound and gagged Charlie. He had some keys in the pocket. I let myself out. My guess had been right. I was somewhere in the East End. I walked till I found a main road and then called a cab.
Where to, Governor?
Hotel Splendide, and I'll double your fare if you get me there in 15 minutes.
Right, hang on.
There was only one way to tackle this job, the bold approach. At the Splendide, I went straight over to the desk and asked for Senor Alvarez.
Sorry, sir, he's not in at present.
Well, how about his secretary?
Well, he's not in either, sir.
They haven't checked out, have they? They're still staying here.
They leave by plane for New York this evening, I understand, sir. Is there any message?
No, thanks. That's okay. So they hadn't made the snatch yet. I had no idea where the safe deposit was, so all I could do was wait. Found a spot where I could keep out of sight and watch the elevators at the same time. An hour passed. An hour and a half. And then, there they were. As their elevators started to rise, I took the stairs 3 at a time. I reached the 3rd floor just as the door of their suite was closing behind them. I wanted that Bohemian Star. Nothing greedy, you understand, but now or never. Gun in hand, I pressed the bell.
You.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I wouldn't reach for a gun if I were you, nor you, Oritza. Unless you've a wish to commit suicide, just keep your hands up. Well up. That's much more sensible.
How did you get here?
I got here by cab, if it's of any particular
Senor,
interest. Oh, Charlie. Don't worry about him. He'll get over it. Come on, let's go into the sitting room, have a nice, cozy talk. After you, senor. And you. It's more like it. All right, chums. The Rock.
The Rock?
The Diamond, the Bohemian Star.
But you're mistaken, senor.
Oh.
We have not got it, have we, Manuel?
Oh, no, there must be some misunderstanding.
The only misunderstanding there's been so far was in you fellas mistaking me for a sucker. Step over here towards me, Oritza.
What, me, senor?
Come on, do as you're told. Now turn your back. Keep those hands well up. Nice, efficient little piece of ironmongery you've got. I'll have that, if you don't mind. Blue, huh? But no diamond. Okay, you're next, Alvarez.
But I assure you, senor, I give you my word of honor.
And what's this? Your word of honor? Quite a hunk of stone, isn't it? You won't mind if I take charge of this, I'm sure.
Senor, let us talk.
What more is there to say?
We made a mistake, Manuel and I. We admit.
Considering I have the stone in this gun, that seems rather obvious, don't you think?
What I mean is that we made a mistake when we met last night, not inviting you to join us in this enterprise.
Oh, what gives you the idea that I might have joined you in this?
Harry Lime, are you not? Correct me if I'm wrong, but surely our object in this case has been the same, to obtain the Bohemian Star.
Our object, maybe, but not our purpose.
You speak in riddles, senor.
Oh, no, not at all, old man. You stole this jewel for your own enrichment. I've taken it from you now to return it to its rightful owner.
Its rightful owner?
You will pardon us if we smile, senor.
You don't believe me? Okay, sit down, gentlemen. I have a little telephoning to do. Hello? Operator, get me Whitehall, 1212.
That is Scotland Yard.
Sure, it's
you do not
Scotland
mean
Yard.
that you are going to
Yes,
telephone.
senor, put down that telephone before it is too late, eh? Let us make a bar.
Hello, is that Scotland Yard?
It's all right, Mr. Lime. You needn't bother with that call.
Now, what's the idea? Who are you guys?
I'm Detective Inspector Marsh, and this is my assistant, Sergeant Andrews.
Well, not so fast. How do I know you two are on the level?
Oh, here's my warrant card.
Glad to know you, Inspector. Well, this all seems in order. Sorry I sounded suspicious, but, you might have been a couple of crooks, too.
Of course, the point hadn't occurred to me.
This is an outrage.
You have made a great mistake, senor.
Well, we'll thrash that out of the yard later. Take him away, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Now, come on, you two.
Well, I'm certainly glad you turned up when you did. I can't figure out is how you got in so quietly. My ears don't miss much, and I'll swear I never heard that front door open.
Well, of course you didn't. We've been here all the time.
Here, in this actual room?
Yes, behind those curtains.
Well, I'll be darned.
And what's more, we've a friend of yours. You can come out now, Mr. Freeman.
Hello there.
Why, Terry, I don't get all this.
Oh, it's all quite simply explained. When you didn't turn up this morning, I got a bit worried, so I phoned AAP, and they told me Paul Atkinson was in Malaya. Then I went round to the yard and gave the whole story to Inspector Marsh here.
And you figure there must be some dirty work, huh, Inspector?
Well, it did seem that something odd was going on. Doubly odd when I rang the Argentine embassy and they denied all knowledge of Alvarez and Oritza. So the management let us in here while they were away,
We were just about to announce ourselves and find out what was what when the doorbell rang and you came in.
So you figured you'd wait a while and see what happened, is that it?
Exactly.
I say.
What is it?
Just as well I'm not a crook, isn't it? I mean, if I tried to get away with the Bohemian Star instead of phoning the yard, I'd have found myself in a lovely jam, wouldn't I?
Yes, well, I shan't pretend we didn't suspect you for a while, Mr. Lime. But we know now that you're an honest man.
That's all right.
It's not everyone who'd risk his life the way you've done.
Oh, that's okay. Here, I guess you better take this stone inspection. I'll be glad to see the last of it.
Oh, thanks. Of course, you realize there'll be a reward.
Oh, no, please.
But my dear fellow, it's no more than you're entitled to. Don't you agree, Mr. Freeman?
Oh, certainly.
I'll see the matter's taken up with the Bohemian authorities, and you'll hear from them in due course.
Well, if you insist, though. After all, I was only doing my duty. And you know, Terry, I really did intend writing that story for you. I'm sorry I slipped up on it. Hope you didn't get into too much trouble with your news editor.
Well, there was a bit of a row, but that's all right.
Oh, it will be, old man, it will be. Just wait till he sees the story you've got for him now.
Harry Lime returns in just a moment. And now, Harry Lime.
Right here, maybe I'd better hand in a little explanation. You're wondering what particular stroke of luck or lunacy led your old friend Harry to settle for just the reward, not to try for the diamond itself, at least while the going was good. Well, first of all, it was a very tidy little reward, and secondly, when I first came into that room, I just happened to notice the tip of what was unmistakably the shoe of a policeman sticking out under the curtains. Now, you may think that knowing I wasn't alone with a couple of crooks, that the realization that Scotland Yard was tuned in on our conversation had something to do with my decision to, shall we say, play it straight. That's what you may think. In fact, you'd be silly not to.
presenting Orson Welles as the third man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Kara.
That was the shot that killed Harry Lime. He died in a sewer beneath Vienna, as those of you know who saw the movie The Third Man. Yes, that was the end of Harry Lime. But it was not the beginning. Harry Lime had many lives, and I can recount all of them. How do I know? It's very simple. Because my name is Harry Lime. Friends, the story of my marriage. My first marriage, and believe you me, my last. It all began in the funny little city of Bockanovia. There isn't much to do there except get married. Principal local occupation, of course, is getting rich, and that's what brought me to Bockanovia. It's hidden away, as you probably know, in a remote corner of Saudi Arabia. Mines of black gold, oil derricks dot the landscape as far as you can see, and huddled beneath these modern steel skeletons lies a city as old as the East. Curio dealers hawk their wares in the narrow winding streets. Beggars doze in shadowed doorways. Robed Arabs mingle with Europeans in soil whites. And the city drowses with all the indolence of Asia. An ideal place for a murder and a double-crossing oil. Oil to grease the skids of fortune for Harry Lime.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the third man in Love Affair.
Bockanovia, Saudi Arabia. Harry Lime, that's me. A happy young bachelor strolling along the narrow street that led from the Grand Hotel to the native bazaar.
Oh, noble one, a moment of your time.
I'm sorry, friend.
I am not a beggar, O heaven-born. I am teller of fortune.
Yes, but
The past, the present, the future. I see all, I tell all.
Very interesting.
Oh,
sure.
greatest of great lords, may your back never bend.
Thank you.
May your beard never grow white.
Well, I'll try not to. Thank
a
you.
little backsheesh, and I read your fortune.
Thanks very much, old man. I'm busy making my fortune. I don't need to have it told.
Show me your palm, noble one. Let me but see the line of your destiny.
Okay, friend, but make it snappy.
Ah, the hand of the wanderer, the seeker. It is difficult to tell your fortune, my lord, because you have no fortune. You have many fortune.
Well, that's nice to hear, old man, but let's get down to cases. When am I going to get rich?
You will always be near to wealth and see many women.
Well, that's good.
Beautiful women.
Well, that's better.
Dark women.
I like blondes, too.
But only one wife.
Also redheads. Well, what's that about a wife?
Noble one, you will only be married once.
And once is too much. To put it mildly, I'm afraid you've got your fortunes mixed up.
You will travel, great one, quickly and across many lands. And you travel with a wife.
Okay, now you've had your fun. I'll say goodbye.
Wait, you have not paid me.
Why should I, friend? I'm Harry Lime. But you don't know about me. It'd fill a book, and nobody's going to write it without paying me royalties. So long, old man.
Feel the same sweet, generous Harry Lime.
Schweig, what are you doing in Bockanovia?
Just exactly what you think I'm doing. Checking up on you.
The same sweet, lovable Carl Schweig.
Where can we talk, eh?
Almost anywhere. It's the time for salat. No one to bother us. Come on. Go into this cafe here.
It doesn't look very clean.
It'll answer your needs, don't you think? You follow me?
Doesn't seem to be anyone around.
What do you want, Schweig?
What do I want? I want to know whether you've obtained the oil leases. That is what you're being paid for, isn't it, Mr. Lyon?
I'm not too well paid.
Quit toying with me, Harry.
I'm not toying with you. What do you expect? Everything in the city moves by inches. I've made friends here. I'm real chummy with Elephant. I think I've got him in a receptive mood. Actually, I'm sure he doesn't realize how important oil is going to be here in a few years. If I can't force him to sign the minute, things don't work that way.
I know. We have perfect confidence in you.
And why did you come here?
To make sure that our confidence wasn't misplaced.
Oh, I see.
And do you think you might be able to settle the matter of the oil lease?
I have an appointment with the Elephant late this afternoon. He's out at his summer palace now. It's about 40 miles from the city. When I get back, I'll get in touch with you. You'll be at the Grand Hotel, I guess.
I'll be gone by this afternoon, Harry, but I do have others working for me. I'll know it if you try to double-cross me.
Your government will get the leases, Schweig. How about the money?
I brought you a draft to pay for your services to date. Here.
And thank you. Oh, hey, what's this? This hardly covers my hotel bill. My fare getting here. You're trying to...
Your final payment will be waiting for you at the Bank International when you have concluded negotiations.
And how will anyone at the bank know when I...
They'll know, Harry. They'll know.
I was still burning about the size of the check as I left Schweig and headed for the Bank International. I hadn't been surprised to learn that Schweig's government had other agents in Bockanovia, but I wondered how it was possible for someone employed by the bank to know when the Elephant had acceded to my requests. As I entered the shabby monument of finance, I searched the bland, inscrutable faces behind the cages, but they told me nothing. Well, I'd come to cash the check, not play charades. I slid the infuriating little piece of engraved paper through the opening in the window of the chief teller, a lovely-looking lad, if you care for the pockmarked, beady-eyed, murderous type. He glanced down at the check and then up at me.
You are Harry Lyon?
Yes, I have my credentials.
That won't be necessary. You are already well known in this city.
That's very flattering.
How did you want this, Mr. Lyon?
I don't care about the denominations, but I wanted American money.
American money?
Yeah, you see, I'm an American. I'm sentimental about American money.
Very well, Mr. Lyon. Here you are, sir. $1, $2, $3, $4, $500.
Thank you.
However, with the current rate of exchange, I might advise you to...
Pardon me, Mr. Lime.
Huh?
I apologize for approaching you on the street, but I must speak to you at once.
Who are you?
My name would not mean anything to you, but I can tell you this. I am no friend of Karl Schweig.
Oh, that's good. Any enemy of Karl Schweig is a friend of mine. What can I do for you?
It is a matter of what I can do for you. To begin with, may I drive you back to your hotel?
I have my own car.
You do not own a car, Mr. Lime, and the Citroën you have rented you did not use today. You left it in the hotel garage to be serviced. You want it in good running order for your trip to the Alafin Summer Palace later in the day.
Mm-hmm. I'd be delighted to accept a lift back to the hotel. That's your car there?
Yes. Gregory? The car is my own, incidentally. There are some governments that are not as cautious of their purse strings as the employers of your Mr. Schweig. Gregory, we will drive Mr. Lime to the Grand Hotel. Do not hurry.
Well, man, you know all about my car, my engagement this afternoon, apparently my business here in Bockanovia. What more would you like to know?
You do me an injustice, Mr. Lime. I do not seek anything. I wish to give you something. Here.
What do you want kidnapped for this kind of money?
Mr. Lime, we are both here in Bockanovia for the same thing, but there are two major differences. You want the oil leases for the country who gave you that check you just cashed at the bank. I want the leases for another power.
Yes.
To date, you have been successful, and I have not been.
I have no signed agreement,
You
old man.
will have. Authoritative sources tell me that it has become a personal thing between you and the Alafin. You have exercised great charm on him. He will sign the leases made out by you to whatever power you select.
Maybe.
I want you to make out the contracts for my country.
Yeah, but Schweig's already given me several payments.
Payments? How do they compare with the money you now hold in your hand?
Well, they don't compare, but I can't accept this money. I've already assured Schweig.
Look, Harry Lime, I know you. I know how your mind works. I have worked with men like you for years. Your loyalties belong to the highest bidder. In your hand, you hold the largest price yet offered for your services. When you present the contracts to the Alafin tomorrow, I am sure they will contain the name of the right country.
A minute later, I was walking toward the bar of the hotel. I wasn't clutching the money the Baron had offered me in my tight little fist anymore. No, it was making a comforting bulge in my wallet. The long mahogany gate to forgetfulness was deserted except for George Harris. George is a sort of glorified tourist guide who sometimes brought parties of American travelers to see the quaint charm of ancient Bockanovia. Quaint yet. I'm not crowding, am I, Lime? You were here first. So you couldn't be crowding me.
All right, then you're crowding me, and it's a long bar.
If there's anything silly looking, it's a long bar with one drinker at one end, one at the other. Come on, Harris, break down. Have a drink with me.
Lime, it may interest you to know that when I bring tourists here, I give them a little indoctrination lecture.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And part of it consists of a warning to keep away from a very unsavory American expatriate by the name of Harry Lime.
You think I'm capable of contaminating you and your camera-toting babbits?
I don't quite know what you're capable of, but the tourists who can afford to include a side trip to the Orient in their itinerary obviously have money. There's no sense in waving a branch of honeysuckle in front of a bee.
Well, I guess that's my cue to buzz off, Mr. Harris. Don't worry about my trying to get even with you for all the nasty things you said. I'd much rather have my revenge when you're not prepared for it. I wasn't hungry, but I walked into the dining saloon. George Harris followed me, headed for a table festooned with his party of tourists. Usually his party consisted of bicarbonate of soda addicts, fugitives from board of directors meetings, and generously proportioned dowagers enjoying the money their late husbands had worked themselves to death accumulating. But this time, there was a new note. A lovely, fresh-looking girl. She had the sort of innocence that only a Reynolds could have captured, or a Harry Lime. When she got up from the table, I followed her to the piazza. There wasn't a hovering mother, a chaperone, or a tourist guide in sight. I say, you didn't drop your handkerchief.
What?
If you had, I could have picked it up and returned it to you. We could have started talking. I would have offered to show you the city.
I have a guide, thank you.
Yes, I know, but I could show you places George Harris wouldn't dream of taking a 17-year-old girl to.
I'm 19.
Oh, I've been wondering. Now, I've been wondering about a few other things, too, as a matter of fact.
You must be the Harry Lime Mr. Harris was telling us
Oh,
about.
surely I'm not the only man in Beckerata capable of speculating a bit about a beautiful American girl.
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Lime, but the others will be coming out from lunch soon, and I mustn't be seen talking to you here in broad daylight.
But it won't be broad daylight forever. Well, perhaps we'll meet this evening, Miss...
Perhaps.
Girl was a real looker. But with all the looks, she was pushed to the back of my mind as I got to the Summer Palace, the Allerton, later that afternoon. My rented Citroen was behaving nicely, and I guess I wasn't watching the road too carefully because suddenly the ordinarily deserted strip of pavement became crowded, and I had to pull to a stop. Arabs riding burros crowded about the car. There were some half-castes on foot climbing on the running boards. In front of the car were 3 or 4 Bedouins, pretty fierce-looking customers with old-fashioned muskets slung over their shoulders. Hey, what's all this about? I'm on my way to see your ruler. If I'm detained, you'll be very angry. I say, isn't there somebody here who speaks English?
I speak English, Mr.
Well,
Lime.
you're the chief teller from the Bank International.
That's one of my occupations. Move over, Mr. Lime. We have many things to talk about before you have your meeting with the Alafi.
Orson Welles returns in just a moment as the third man. And now, Orson Welles, as the third man, continues with Love Affair.
The beady-eyed, pockmarked Arab was sitting next to me in the front seat of my rented Citroen. The near-equatorial afternoon was growing cold. The leather of the car's upholstery damp and clammy under my hand. And as the motley crew outside the car crowded close, I made an instinctive gesture toward the bulgy wallet that rested in my inside pocket.
If you're thinking of reaching for a gun, Mr. Lime, I might inform you that these few friends represent only a portion of Mr. Schweig's representatives in Beckerata.
So you're Schweig's man in the bank?
Precisely.
Well, you can relax. I wasn't reaching for a gun.
I have no need to relax, Mr. Lime. But you appear a trifle nervous.
Oh, no, not at all.
But perhaps your gesture toward your pocket was only to assure yourself that your wallet was still safe.
What are you getting at?
I saw you get into Mordecai Varing's car outside the bank today. It would not be healthy to go against Mr. Schweig's wishes.
Oh, well, I have no intention of doing that. No.
I thought the idea might have occurred.
Oh, no, not for a minute.
If Monsieur Varing's offer was more interesting, don't try it, Mr. Lime. Keep your promise to Schweig. And then get out of town before Varing knows you've completed our arrangements with the Alafin.
I'm not leaving town till I get the balance of the money Schweig owes me. He said he'd be waiting for me at the bank.
And so it will be.
Well, the bank will be closed by the time I leave the Elephant's Palace.
Well, you conclude the negotiations and then meet me at the bar of the hotel.
Okay.
I will have the money waiting for you there.
All right, old man. It's a deal.
And don't try any tricks. If you do, I will know about it before you have finished counting the money.
My meeting with the high potentate of Bockanovia was an infuriating ordeal of delay. Somehow or other, the granting of oil rights seemed to be inextricably tied up with native dances and ceremonies and rituals, but the best I could manage was to leave the contracts with him and get in exchange a half promise that he would sign them. I wondered if Schweig's fascinating messenger boy would be content with the arrangements. He was waiting for me there, all right.
I came prepared, but I have been informed that the Alafin did not sign the contracts.
Look, if you know they weren't signed, you also know I made them out the way you wanted them in favor of the Pa Schweigen you represent. My job here is finished. Even if I wanted to stick in Bockanovia until the old Dola gets around to signing them, I couldn't. Not with Baron in town. I want the money. I've got it coming to me. Now, do you understand? Now.
I'm not sure Schweig would approve.
You've got the money in your side pocket. I can see the bulge. Now pull it out and start.
Watch out, Lime. Baron knows.
He must have been dead almost before I reached over and took the money from his side pocket. I could hear him topple from his chair as Baron and a handful of thugs burst into the room through the doorway. Each one of them had shot him. They fired after me as I streaked out of the back door, and I reached the rear of the hotel and jumped into the Citroën. Stepped on the starter, and as the motor caught, I clashed the gears. The car leaped toward a narrow, tortuous street. I wasn't sure where it led, but already I could hear other cars starting behind me. Natives and animals sprang out of my way as I careened down the winding street. The cars were further away now, but ahead of me I could see people milling about near a dimly lit cafe. There was a figure in white. Suddenly I could see that it was the girl, the American girl from the hotel. I don't know why, but something made me stop.
Lime, help me.
Oh, jump in.
Get me away from here quickly.
Hold on. Out of the way. Watch out. What were you doing in the native quarter?
George Harris wouldn't take me where I wanted to go, and I wanted to see the places you spoke about this afternoon. So I slipped out of the hotel after dinner, and I went to that native cafe back there. A horrible place. 2 natives came up to my table, and I started to sneak out, and they followed me. Oh, I was never so happy to see anyone in my life.
That's all right, honey. I'll take care of you. It'll be all right. But I can't call you 19 years old, American girl.
Well, my name's Marion Lawrence.
Hello, Marion.
I'm an orphan, and a distant relative of mine died a few months ago and left me a little money. So I quit my job and decided to take a world cruise.
And George Harris?
No, I didn't take one of those planned cruises. I just happened to join the conducted tour to Bockanovia last weekend, and I wish I'd never come now.
You better send a wire to Harris, though. He might notify your relatives or someone if you don't show up back at the hotel.
Well, there's no one to notify. I have no relatives or friends over here.
Mm-hmm. Have your passport with you?
No, I haven't.
Well, I know someone near the border who's very talented as an engraver. However, we might obviate a lot of trouble by having him make out your passports with some new names. Say, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith of Cleveland, Ohio. That might do for both of us. How's that sound to you?
Sounds real exciting. Like we were spies or espionage agents or something. Perfectly. Marion was enthralled with the excitement and the romance of our adventure. It would take time for Vera and whoever else might be following me to pick up the trail. But by the time we'd crossed the border, all of that was changed.
Marion and I were Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith of Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Oh, yes, it was working perfectly because, as far as I could tell, Marion was the perfect bride, adoring, starry-eyed, and really in love with me. Because she was in love with me, she asked no embarrassing questions. There was an added feature to it. It had become apparent that her little inheritance wasn't so little at all. Her purse contained a roll of large denomination bills, big enough to choke a custom official.
Did I embarrass you, dear, insisting on paying for my own clothes?
Oh, no, you didn't embarrass me at all. But I'm constantly being surprised to find that you can buy Parisian models almost anywhere in the world if you have the money.
Do you think it's safe traveling by car? Don't you think maybe we'd better leave it and take a train, Harry?
I told you to get in the habit of calling me Joe.
Oh, sorry.
Why shouldn't I be safe? What are you hinting at?
Oh, nothing. It's just that you told me the car was rented, and I thought...
Well, stop thinking. Oh, I'm sorry, Marion, old girl. Nerves, I guess. The nerves lasted all that week as we crossed border after border. Beckerado was a long way back now, but I still kept imagining that I saw Varan in crowds as we went through custom offices. I thought I caught a glimpse of Schweig as we ate dinner in a funny little restaurant in Istanbul. Even though I'd seen him die, I could have sworn I saw the pockmarked face of the chief teller at the Bank International as we walked into a railroad office in Bucharest. By the time we'd reached Vienna, I think I'd almost begun to enjoy my role as the somewhat bucolic tourist.
Are you happy, Joe?
Dangerously. The way I feel, I might never want to leave here.
I'd hate to think of what all this rich food would do to my figure if we stayed.
I suppose neither of us ought to order anything more to eat or drink.
Well, it sounds as though there's plenty for all of us.
Harris.
George Harris.
You don't mind if I join you?
You talk like a cop, old man.
I'm with the FBI of the United States. By the way, Harry Lime, I think you might be interested in knowing that the elephant got a little tired of all your intrigue the day after you left. He awarded the oil leases to the U.S.
So then Schweig's after me, too. What charges have you got against me?
Charges? We have no charges against you. It still isn't against the law to be a skunk.
Well, if there are no charges against me,
I've just been helping the Becurata authorities track down your sweet little bride.
Why? Married?
I'm sorry, Harry.
The night you picked her up in Becurata, she was fleeing from the hotel, where she just shot and killed her aging husband. You ready to leave, Marion?
Yes.
Just a minute. Marion, I want to get this straight.
It's no use talking, Harry. What he says is true.
You mean that's why you came away with me? You mean I was the sucker? You've been using
me?
Harry. Okay, I've been a lot of things in my life. I've even been married now. I've even been a sucker. But that's one that doesn't go in the book. But, George, I don't see how you traced us.
They're the big bills your wife spent on the trip. You see, her doting husband, not you, the one she killed, cashed a large check at the Bank International a few hours before she did away with him. Luckily, the chief teller made a list of the serial numbers. Come on, Marion. Well, goodbye, Lime. By the way, where are you planning to be? We may need you for the trial.
Well, you can always look for me, old man. There's no law against that. Tell you what, I'll give you a little hint. The elephant maybe hasn't signed that oil contract. He may need a little advice after all, so you'll probably find me in Beckerata for a while. There's a fortune teller I want to look up. I owe him some money. So long, Marion. Goodbye, old man. May your beard never grow white. May your shadow never grow less.
Harry Lime returns in just a moment. And now, Harry Lime.
Well, friends, it was a short marriage, but a very pleasant one. If you should settle down somewhere and start enjoying easy living, rich food, and fine liquor, don't worry about what it'll do to your figure. That's about the fat it tends to develop between the ears.
Thank you for listening to and showing your support for my podcast. If you would like to receive notifications of when new episodes are posted, please subscribe to my channel. Subscriptions are 100% free, and they really help me get an idea of how I'm doing.